From the Western Mass News studios in Springfield, this is Western Mass News Getting Answers with Dave Mattson.
Thanks for joining me for this week's edition of Western Mass News Getting Answers. Every week I'm joined by political and business leaders and other newsmakers to talk about the issues that impact you. Pleased to have back as my guest this week Springfield Mayor Domenic Sarno, my first guest in July when we began this program. Time permitting, the mayor and I are going to focus on the surge in COVID-19 cases in Springfield and its impact on the city, the renewed effort to enforce the residency requirement for some city employees, and a number of other issues, including the ongoing problem with dirt bikers and the mayor's frustration about how the courts deal with repeat offenders. Good to see you.
Dave, it's great to see you. I feel like we should be playing catch, you know.
We're far enough.
We're far enough. We could throw the ball around. And my best to your son, Chris. He does a great job with our kids at SciTech. He's like the piper up there. So, but it's always great, Dave, to be with you.
Always good. Let's talk about something that really has developed over the last couple of days. Both you and Police Commissioner Cheryl Clapper calling for the release of police body camera footage of Sunday's officer-involved shooting that left 23-year-old Orlando Taylor dead. I know that we're taping Thursday. You issued a release yesterday.
Yeah, you know, again, first of all, foremost, sympathy, thoughts, and prayers to the grieving family. It's still a loss of life. And of course, good health and speedy recovery to our brave and dedicated officer that had to handle that situation. It's a tragic, unfortunate situation. And I look forward to District Attorney Gallooni to follow his due process, and then we'll await his review and we'll move forward from there. But mainly right now concentrating on our officer who is going to face more surgeries, good health and healing, and a speedy recovery. And of course to the affected family. Commissioner Clapper and I have again continued to express our sympathy, thoughts, and prayers to the grieving family.
And again, too, we know there's only so much you can say because the investigation is out of your hands.
Exactly.
Right. Let's talk about COVID. When we first met in July here, there was all this optimism about COVID cases going down. Well, here we are 6 months later, and Springfield is dealing with an all-time high in COVID cases.
Yeah, it's across the country, but here's the thing. My team, administration, has been tested and true through a number of natural and man-made disasters, many of them, Dave, that you have covered personally. So, we know what to do. I think, Dave, when we spoke in July, those things that hit us, whether natural or man-made disasters, we knew what hit us and how to hit back. This has been like shadow boxing.
Yeah.
Here, though, we're at the point in time that when these things occur, I've always said, you let people know what has occurred. 2, what we're going to do about it. And just as important, the third thing, hope. We're going to get through this working together. This Omicron has spread like wildfire. Commissioner Helen Carlton-Harris has done yeoman work. You know, we've had to continue to put in mandates. We base our decisions, Dave, as you know, on public health, medicine, medical, and the sciences, not on politics. And I'm trying to balance that with keeping, our economy going. I think from what I hear from the health experts, we're peaking now, or the surge is starting to come down. I was hopeful that was going to happen in mid-January, but it looks like it's going to be the end of January.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens at that point in time. But Dave, we spoke earlier, everything. I mean, it has been exhausting for each and every one of us. It's been surreal. Any decision I make or don't make is always centered around COVID-19. But we'll defeat it. We'll beat it.
The whole idea that, here we are 2 years later when we thought, well, let's get to the summer. Let's get to the fall of 2020. And I don't think anybody ever thought we'd be here now. And one of the things you mentioned, too, it's COVID exhaustion. People are tired.
There is COVID fatigue.
Yeah.
And, I'm tired, too, like many of your viewers that are watching now. But what we ask you to do is not only for the good of yourself and your family, it's for the good of the community. And by doing these things and get the shot. And when I speak with Dr. Kerouac, who heads Bay State, and Dr. Roos, who heads Mercy Hospital, 75 to 80% of the people who have been hospitalized are non-vaccinated. I mean, the vaccine works. You're either asymptomatic, maybe you have minor symptoms, and you're able to run that out at home, but you're not hospitalized,
right,
and you don't die. And we all have had family and dear friends who have lost their lives. So what we're doing here is, again, to restore public, business, and consumer confidence. So it's got to be a balancing act.
No, a lot of people are frustrated. They want to get tested. They can't get tested. The Eastfield Mall site has been overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I know you've been pressing the state for additional
Yes.
testing sites. Any progress being made there?
First of all, I want to commend AMR, American Medical Response, or our ambulance company, and Patrick Leonardo, who's the Director of Operations, Patrick Pickering, the whole crew there. They've done Herculean efforts. We've partnered, Commissioner Clapproot, Cheryl, we've had our police units up there. Sheriff Cochise helped me out with some of his sheriff's units to keep traffic under control. So again, I've expressed to Governor Baker and Lieutenant Governor Polito, who I just spoke to the other day, that I would back away from another testing site. Springfield is taking on the whole region,
right,
besides my Springfield residents. If you're able to get me National Guard help, AMR has assured me if we were able to get 20 National Guard men or women there, they can expand even more operations to Eastfield Mall, which I think will take the pressure off. So I'll continue to do that. I also have requested, I'm going to fight for everything I get my hands on for my Springfield residents business community, the home testing kits, and
right,
I'm continuing to purchase those. I have another 25,000 coming out through with Commissioner Helen Colton Harris, Health and Human Services, different community centers and senior centers starting next Tuesday. Appreciate Western Mass News had the whole schedule on there for. That'll bring up to about nearly 200,000 home testing kits that I've been able to get out to my Springfield residents. And also, I've helped the schools out, our schools out for testing. And I've had to keep some back to preserve and protect our workforce so we can continue to provide the basic and vital services to the Springfield residents and business community.
You know, we talked about the economic impact on the city itself. How is the city doing? Here we are 2 years into it financially during this uptick, and, you know, keeping businesses open and keeping it as normal as possible.
On that side there, you know, I'm very thankful. Richie, Congressman, Chairman Neal, been a great conduit on the federal level. The ARPA monies, the COVID monies that we were able to gain there. We've pumped out millions and millions of dollars to our businesses, millions and millions of dollars to help assist our residents, millions and millions of dollars for COVID. I continue to stockpile PPEs, what we need for the COVID supplies and materials. Retrofitted all our schools. That's millions of dollars there to make sure we went above and beyond the ASHRAE standards. But city finances have been very well maintained. I have a great financial staff headed by Chief Administration Financial Officer TJ Plant. We've had the highest bond ratings in the city's history, and I'm very proud of that. So we've been able to make sure we have stable and sound finances that has allowed me, unlike some other areas, cities and towns, I've kept everybody working.
Yeah.
Nobody's been laid off, nobody's been furloughed, nobody's been let go, even when from working from home. I've kept everybody working on the city side and on the school side. That's because of the strong financial management we've had for years under my administration. So that's put us in good stead, plus getting the influx of federal money coming again with Congressman Neal leading that charge. And again, the great relationship with Governor Baker, Lieutenant Governor Polito on the state side. And it's all about relationships, Dave. As you know, being able to pick up the phone and they know your word is your bond. And I'm going to always fight tooth and nail to help out my Springfield residents and business community.
All right, we're going to take a break.
Okay.
And when we come back, Mayor Sarno and I are going to look at the renewed effort to enforce the residency requirement for some city employees. Welcome back to Western Mass News Getting Answers. My guest this week is Springfield Mayor Domenic Sarno. Mayor Sarno, the City Council has directed you to enforce the city's employee residence requirements, including using the police to verify compliance, even though the city solicitor said that was probably unnecessary. Let's talk about that. That follows the judge's finding last week. What is it and where's that stand? I think most people are confused by it.
Again, I think people forget that the city, we won the case. This just had to do with an instance in our Springfield Fire Department. The city, we won the case on it. And I'm a steadfast believer of residency. But unfortunately, and this dates back to 1995 and even into the 1980s, between state statutes, civil service, legislation that was passed, and the instances of teachers back in the 80s, state legislation was passed that you didn't have to live in the community. What I have done in my administration is put it in contractual negotiations. And in contracts, I've been able to win, being able to come to plausible agreements on residency. So we'll continue to do this, but we have not had a tremendous amount of issues. This specific case had to deal with our Springfield Fire Department, which the ruling came out that the city won the case, but they advised about this commission that was put together back in, or never really put together, but in 1995.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, fine, well, I'll point some people onto it. But I think Solicitor Pakula is correct. I want my police officers on the street keeping everybody safe and sound. There is a mechanism through our Human Relations and Labor Relations Division with Attorney Bill Mahoney, and that mechanism there does the investigation if and when one is warranted. So, that's the way it should be followed, and I'm a steadfast believer of residency. I have fought, and I've tried to be fair and respectful in contractual negotiations to get that put into many of my labor unit workforce. But you got to remember, Dave, dating back to the 80s, state legislation was passed that said teachers didn't have to live in the community they taught in. Police and fire were already ruled out. You had state statutes and civil service statutes. I have now contractual agreements that they have to, these units have to abide by that on it. And again, another thing, and I think City Councilor Mike Fenton made a good point. He's one of the commission members. This is a delicate balancing situation here. You're talking about people's personal and private lives. You're also talking about their professional lives. Mm-hmm. And you have to be respectful of that. But as far as residency, I believe in it steadfastly. I have backed it up. I've done it legally on it. So with contractual negotiations, I can't help what laws were passed before my time and state statutes and civil on it. So, yeah. But we won. But we won the case. The city won the case. The judge indicated, preferred if you could have that committee going. So I appointed the committee. But we did win the case. And this was just one specific thing about the Springfield Fire Department, mm-hmm. not rampant across the city.
Yeah, it's good to clarify that. Let's talk about pressing the court system to do better in handling repeat offenders. I know you've been frustrated with this for years. Is it getting any better?
I think you're getting, I'm going to continue to make that clarion call, and I know with some in the court system, I think they probably don't think too highly of me, but I really don't care, because I'm going to continue to fight for my Springfield residents and business community. And I just ask them, this is that 1 or 2% of those repeat violent criminal offenders that continue their let out, no bail, low bail, bracelets, monitors, hardly any restrictions, and they continue to perpetuate mayhem in our neighborhoods and our streets. And it goes across the board. When I'm in the city, it doesn't matter what creed, color, background, people want quality of life and they want public safety. So that's why I continue to put the bail legislation in through Representative Angelo Pupolo. Angie's been my conduit on that. And I continue to support Governor Baker's dangerousness bill. And I put written testimony for that again. And Secretary Reedy, who is Public Safety Secretary, and Colonel Mason, head of state police, we're just on a meeting with Representative Bud Williams on traffic stuff and tackling these dirt bike stuff. Very appreciative, Secretary Reedy. Said, we really appreciate you standing up for the governor. Do you know in that dangerousness hearing stuff, there's some sexual aspects, sexual, deviant type crimes being committed that there's no teeth in it to do that, and the governor wants to strengthen that. And also he has in there, which I think is good, these GPS bracelets or monitors that you cut them off, making it a felony. So I'm going to continue to press on that. And I know some defense attorneys and some judges, and I have some great relationships with defense and judges too, believe it or not, will say you don't understand the bail system, Sarno. Yes, I do. You know, I did a half a dozen years with DA Bill Bennett, dealing with the hardcore borderline juvenile probationers. It's for them to come back to court. Well, here's the thing. They're coming back to court, Dave, but they're coming back to court after they committed more hideous type crimes. Springfield Police Department has taken record numbers of illegal guns off the streets. We have a multitude of programs, youth development, positive workforce development, whether in our schools, religious organizations, community organizations. There's avenues, there's pathways to go the right way. This is the 1 or 2% that, you know, our brave and dedicated police officers in Springfield, how many times you have to arrest these people?
Yeah.
And they're literally laughing. There's no repercussions. It emboldens them to speed, drive distracted, shoot somebody, kill somebody, deal drugs, break into somebody's house. You break into somebody's house, that's personal. You're supposed to feel safe in your home. So that's what I'm fighting for, that 1 or 2%, and I'm going to continue to push on that.
Now, you talked about dirt bikers. I know, obviously, the snow and the cold, that seems to have eased things. You're hoping the legislature will take action. Where does all that stand? I
want to thank, I've pushed that, and I want to thank State Representative Orlando Ramos. We're taking a regional approach. I met with the mayors of Chicopee, John View, and the acting mayor before, Terry Murphy, on a regional approach. We've passed ordinances on the Springfield side to do with that and gas stations. Chicopee has done it too, working with the city council. And the legislation is there about destroying these bikes. Many of these bikes are stolen, and they end up grabbing them again, and then they go back out there. My point is this phenomena that's occurring in urban centers across America, the danger that they put across not only to vehicular traffic, but to pedestrians and to themselves.
Yeah.
And to themselves. So we had that meeting with Colonel Mason, head of state police, Commissioner Clapper was in that meeting too, my team, and with Secretary Reedy. They're going to expand the eye in the sky, I call it, the air power of the state police, and we're going to utilize that. We want to do two things. Utilize that because we could track where those bikes are or where they're coming from, and then we swoop in with warrants and take those bikes before they can get back on the street. The other thing too is that a lot of these people are young people, and families need to step up, because some of the things that have happened, whether here in Springfield, the X, or that 80-year-old senior citizen in Boston, is despicable. And I can't say, because we're on TV, what I'd like to do to those types of individuals on it. But it's just, they're illegal to begin with, Chapter 9, you can't have them on the roads. And the point is, thrill-seeking, they put people in harm's way, including themselves. They want to taunt you. They want to taunt my police officers. And police can only go so far. We said, why don't you do this? Why don't we do that? We do want to do certain things. But then what happens is that I need the public's backup if something happens at that point in time. So everybody's fed up with it. We're trying to be proactive as we were with the fireworks, which were much better this year. We passed legislation working with the state legislature on it. So we're trying to get it going now. Now, Dave, the colder weather calms it down a bit, but when the weather warms up a little bit, they still come out there.
Yeah.
And we have a unit. Yeah. We do have a unit. So we're going to work together, and I'm going to try to, hopefully we can eradicate it and send a message that these illegal dirt bike riders are not going to be tolerated in Springfield, Chicopee, and the Holyoke area.
All right, time for another break.
Okay.
And we come back, the mayor and I are going to talk about Springfield police officer recently acquitted of using excessive force. Welcome back to Western Mass News Getting Answers. Pleased to be joined this week by Springfield Mayor Domenic Sarno. About a month ago now, Springfield narcotics detective Greg Bigda was acquitted of federal charges for using excessive force in civil rights violations. You've said you don't want him reinstated to the police force. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't believe, listen, everybody knows, there's nobody that stands up for public safety or blue, especially my dedicated and brave police officers, than me. This was cut and dry. Dave, you've been a well-respected statesman and newsman for many, many years, and he used to always say, see the film at 11. The video said it all, and to me, there's no place for that individual in our Springfield Police Department, and I've stated that.
Talbert Swan, the head of the Springfield NAACP, said that the verdict demonstrates a deeply racist criminal justice system in need of reform.
Yeah, you know what, Bishop Swan, we just spoke the other day on a couple of issues. I'll be with him tomorrow. Martin Luther King celebrations that we do jointly with the NAACP in the city of Springfield on it. And again, the video says it all. And there's no place for that individual in our Springfield Police Department. So when the word came down to me, I shook my head. That's not what was expected, because it takes away from all the outstanding work our brave and dedicated police officers do day in and day out. So that's the way I feel. And again, I just had conversations with Bishop Swan just the other day, and we'll be together during MLK events. You know, I'm sort of old school, Dave. What's right is right, what's wrong is wrong. And I also know that no matter what decisions I render, and I try to base them on the facts and what's good government and what's good for the city, I can't make everybody happy.
Right.
But that seemed cut and dry to me.
All right, City and Comcast.
Yes.
They're in an impasse on an agreement and a new contract, and you said you're not going to go nothing right now. Where does that stand? Because people at home are going, what's going to happen to my cable?
Well, don't worry. You're still going to see Dave Mattson on TV. Okay, you're going to still see Dave. We'll get there. Again, I always fight for my Springfield residents and business community, and fighting that this is a non-exclusive contract. I also have a study going on with my IT director Andy Doty and my Chief Administration Financial Officer TJ Plant to look at fiber across the city.
Like West Springfield's doing it too.
Exactly. I want to look at that. And I've also been fighting for stuff as far as the senior discounts. I've also been fighting for stuff to make sure that our Focus Springfield continues. That's been invaluable during this pandemic, transparency of keeping the public involved in governmental meetings going on. Now, people always say to me, they'll say, hey, Mayor Domenic, hey, Sarno, what about the prices? I don't have any control over that. That's on the state and federal level. The FCCC and those entities have control over the programming and on the price tags. I feel, we'll get there, and maybe not too shortly we'll get there, but I wanted to make sure, and I also wanted to make sure that they kept their operations here in the city of Springfield. There's a number of things that I fought for in the give and take, and I wanted more of the take and not the give on it. So, we had a good relationship, and I'm sure that we're going to be able to resolve this situation in the very near future. So that's where we're at. Cable will continue on, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, we're out of time. Always good to see you.
I'll throw it back to you, Dave.
Right back to me. We'll do this again in the not too distant future because there's so much going on.
And to everybody watching again, and Dave, to you and your family, and all to Western Mass News viewers, good health, and we're going to get through this COVID-19. I promise you, working together, and I can't wait to be back on with the best ad-libber in TV, Dave Mattson.
The other parts, get vaccinated.
Get the shots. Shots in the arm, shots in the arm, shots in the arms. We're going to do a song on that. How's that?
I like it.
Okay, Dave.
I like it. All right. Good to see you again. And my thanks to Springfield Mayor Domenic Sarno for joining me this week. I'm Dave Mattson. Stay safe, stay well. And if you can, join us next week for Western Mass News, Getting Answers.